I put out a video yesterday. Many of you saw it. I clipped it after stream. And of course, we had the political people come into chat. Just a reminder of what I was frustrated with watching the Humanist Report, who I usually do like, and his response in defense of Kyle Kulinski. Here's an example, small example.
All of the triggered Republicans who are trying to cancel Kyle don't know that he actually earned lifelong immunity from cancellation on Twitter because of a tweet that he wrote about Nancy Mace back on December 10th of last year, where he astutely points out, that's a lot of beans, you nasty ass bitch.
Okay, and I am revoking your card to call women bitch. I'm just revoking it. Okay, I'm revoking it. You're not allowed to say it anymore. If you are a man and you specifically think you're progressive, you especially cannot be calling women bitch. I am revoking your bitch card, okay? Now, I put out this video, and of course, even though I disclaimered, it doesn't matter because people are so stuck, they cannot hear you, and bubbles are gonna bubble, humans gonna human, okay? And I had my comment section get kind of flooded with a few, flooded in a few in the same sentence here. People that were like, only 2 minutes in, but I already think you're missing the point. This is about political discourse and the hypocrites who exploit it. All through 2016, Trump kept teeing off on Hillary in every press engagement, and she would never meaningfully hit back because the Democrats are supposedly above mudslinging. Guys, the standard of expectation I have for you is not Democrats. Okay, I am not asking you to be as dirty and disgusting as Republicans. You can stand up for yourself and be strong without calling people slurs. Okay, you can do this, I promise you. And I understand exactly how you're feeling. I understand because I've been there, I've been you. You think I don't know what it's like to want to punch back with a nice little zinger? I get it. It's not good. It's not good, okay? And then this person replied and goes, I agree. We go higher has been the attitude since '08. And look where we're at. Oh, yes, because being ethical and good and everything that we want to be was definitely the platform the Democrats ran on while they supported Israel's genocide of the Palestinians. Please be so for real. The Democrats have never attempted to actually be good people. Please be so fucking for real. They have never actually attempted to go higher. You cannot go higher and support a genocide, okay? I'm talking about higher. I'm talking about actually standing up for what's right in the world, okay? You cannot actually sit here and be like, the Democrats have been way too good. They're just so good. Girl, sit down. Somebody said here, okay, they are not advocating for bigotry. They're advocating for treating them as Nazis, the Nazis they are. We didn't win against the Nazis and Confederate slave owners by polite discussion we won by killing them until they gave up. Okay, first of all, you know nothing about history. It is such a child's view of any of these past situations to think that anyone did any of these things because they were simply good people. It was money, power, and status. You think we freed the enslaved people because we were good people? What were we doing all those years? We were ignoring the fact that they were enslaved. You think we entered Germany to save the Jews? Or do you think we waited 5 fucking years before we got involved because it became an issue for us? Why are you acting like we did these things because we were simply good people? We weren't. We waited until it was, important for us. We waited till our dollar bill was threatened. We waited until it helped us. Stop selling yourself this fantasy that good people stood up against fascism and then fascism died. It's well and alive, girl, okay? And the premise of this sentence here, they're not advocating for bigotry. They're advocating for treating them as the Nazis they are. So to be clear, if they are a Nazi, I can call them a slur. Is that how it works? Is that the standard? If they are a Nazi, I can call them a slur. So got it. So now slurs for thee, but not for thee. Slurs for me, but not for thee, I guess. I don't know. Slurs for everybody, really. As long as a bitch crosses you, slurs for everybody, right? No, okay? No, that's not the point, especially in this context. Now, I'm going to take you on a little adventure, okay? Again, this is a philosophy channel, okay? I want to give people tools that I don't think any of these men are capable of giving you. These men are trapped. Now, men under patriarchy, men not deconstructed. There are plenty of men, plenty of, gender fluid people, plenty of trans people, plenty of deconstructed people who can give you this. But these men who have not deconstructed cannot give you this. So, to reference Chao Te Ching, we want to understand that life is these tiny contradictions, paradoxical truths, right? Number 78, nothing is gentler than water, yet nothing can withstand its force. Likewise, Nothing compares to the Tao. By it, the weak defeat the strong, and the flexible conquer the rigid. Everyone knows this is true, but how few put it into practice. Monks and priests are often the worst sinners. Police officers and lawmakers are often the worst criminals. Truth is often paradoxical. So when you sit here and you're this man who's progressive and you're gonna tell the Nazis, "Oh, you go fuck yourself, Nazis," slur, 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 slur. This is the irony of your position, to claim you have the moral high ground, to say that you are ethically engaging in a way that helps society, while engaging in the same thing that fucks society over in the first place. But okay, girl, you keep your slurs, okay? And just a reminder that I had this philosophical outlook before I finished the anime, but I have no enemies, okay? I will show you the first one in English and the second one in Japanese, just to give you the satisfaction. Here we go. Whoop, that's the Japanese one, just kidding.
A sword is a tool meant to kill. Whose life do you intend to take?
Enemies.
Your enemies? Who are they?
Well, bad guys like Halfdan.
Listen to me, my son. You don't have enemies. The truth is that nobody has them. Nobody in this entire world deserves to get hurt. The reason I rely on a weapon like this is because I'm weak. One who's a great warrior doesn't need a sword.
Okay, that's your English of Vinland Saga. Here's your Japanese, girl. Feel it, girl.
お前に敵などいない。誰にも敵などいないんだ。
Okay, do we understand? No one is my enemy. Thank you, Mabel, for the super chat. I swear it's always the same 10 voice actors. You know, girl, I always think that, and then I look it up and I swear to God, it's all different people, but they all have the most amazing way of voicing everything they do. I just love the voice actors in anime. Don't even get me started. You know, but let me tell you this, girls, this is the point of it. I know none of these men on the internet are consuming good art. I know they are not, because it shows up in their work. Where is their reference to art? Where is the reference to philosophy? Where is the reference to goodness, to people? Where is it? It doesn't exist. They're too busy stroking their own egos and being hypocrites along the way, myself included, which is why I'm sitting here telling you we have to do something different. It's not working. J-Reg recently put out a video about how he talked to Atrioc, which I'm not a fan of, but okay. And he said something very specific in a very specific part of his video about Hassan, and how Hassan reacted to J-Reg mentioning him. How J-Reg, who, disclaimer, I have talked to privately in the past, and we have overlapped with our work in the past. How J-Reg, when he mentions the voice, like the names of streamers, just like they come swarming, like I've been mentioned, and they just like get off on this. They have like an addiction to streaming. They're not here for actually doing anything, but they act like they are. And listen, I say this with peace and love. The reason this is not a safe space for Republicans and conservatives to use my words against progressives is because at the end of the day, as much as I love being a progressive, and I do, we are so flawed. And if we think political progressive positions are the end of enlightenment, we're not even getting started, girls. Okay? Look at this video here.
Today is the last day.
So obviously Zoran won, which we love to see, but check this out. Last day of loving Zoran. Listen to this guy.
That I'm freely allowed to love Zoran Mandani, because after tomorrow when he gets elected, I will have to start holding him accountable for everything that he's gonna start doing in the city. And you know, he's making it really hard, but I'm trying not to have a political crush on anyone. because it's just like not a good thing to do. I need to like be critical and like, you know, make sure that he's actually doing good things for everyone in New York. But don't get me wrong, I'm really rooting for him and I really hope he becomes one of the best mayors. And I just have to come back to this video in 4 years to see what happened.
Exactly. Okay. So with peace and love, when I come for your favorites, it's my responsibility and my duty as a person to hold people accountable, especially with Hasan going around and telling people, oh, I'm just a streamer. I'm nobody. I'm just a streamer. Yeah, just like Charlie Kirk was a podcaster. Please stop pretending like you are just simply a streamer or a podcaster when you're impacting literal politics, when politicians are sitting down in front of you and having conversations with you. It is so irresponsible of you, right? Look at this. So here's Hasan. Okay, this just happened in NYC.
Things that I said. Yeah, like I regret things that I say, and I regret things that I will say in the future as well. I'm a human being, and I'm a Twitch streamer. I'm not a serious political operative by any metric. If Andrew Cuomo decides to present me as some sort of kingmaker, well, he's wrong. I'm just a regular ass dude. But that's probably the reason why I have 70,000 people watching right now, because people want to hear from regular ass dudes as opposed to more buttoned up commentary folk that don't actually represent the interests of everyday citizens. Do I regret things that I said? Yeah, like I regret things that I say, and I regret things that I will say in the future as well. I'm a human being, and I'm a Twitch streamer. I'm not a serious political operative by any metric. If Andrew Cuomo decides to present me as some sort of kingmaker, well, he's...
Okay, so it kind of repeats. So do you get what I'm saying? Like, Hasan shouldn't be allowed to say this, just like Charlie Kirk should have been allowed to say it. No, you are not just a guy. You are not just a guy with a stream. You're a guy who has 70,000 people watching you. You don't get to be just a guy anymore. And that's the point. Where is the sense of responsibility? Now, here's this part, just the simple part of J-Reg's video about Hasan that I want to point out. And then I'm going to show you something else.
The Hasan react. Me and Hasan were even mentioned in the same GQ article recently, where he said a guy watching me, the fact that he watched me meant he was fried, which I have no, I can't argue with that, honestly. And then, of course, in order to explain the main rift on the left, the liberal versus left dichotomy, I have to talk about Israel-Palestine.
Look, I don't know anything about Israel-Palestine. I get all my information about that through Hasan H3H3 Drama.
P.S. J-Reg is a very satirical, sarcastic creator. He does his real life channel, his satirical stuff. He's very satirical in everything he says.
There's like, there's Hasan Moss and H3 Israel or something. I don't really know.
In this image, explaining this to Atriarch, I say that of these four characters, Hasan is the most tanky. And I did not expect the shitstorm to emerge from that statement. Again, it's like walking on a fucking minefield whenever you bring up any of these guys. All I said was, okay, Destiny is a liberal. H3H3 social democrat, mostly liberal. Yes, he's a Zionist. You know, the liberals are Zionists in this equation. That's just what happens most of the time. Now, dude, okay. Let me be really clear here, all right? I did not say if Hasan was a tanky or not, all right? I think people just heard what they wanted to hear because this is, okay, I swear to God, I feel way more confident talking about Israel-Palestine than I do H3H3 versus Hasan. That is, there's more lore to it. The entire history of Israel-Palestine, dating back to the foundation of Israel, has less lore than H3H3 Destiny and Hasan. And it's more polarizing, and there's more nuance, and it's less cut and dry. All I said was, of these four people, three of which are liberals or libertarian socialists, Hasan is the most tanky. He is the most approaching the red quadrant on the political compass. This is just true, but Hasan is the closest to a traditional communist of these four. And then somebody goes into Hasan's chat and says,
J-Reg went on Atriarch's stream and talked about the political compass, lumped you as only talking about Israel-Palestine for drama.
But of course, Hasan hears this and immediately tries really hard to resist calling me retarded. You can see the gears turning.
Yeah, I think he has a intellectual disability if he genuinely thinks that I only talk about Israel-Palestine for drama.
He just said mental disability. Like, you are calling me retarded. This is really a video about streamers, okay? And it's not about any particular streamer because I don't really hate any particular streamer as people. I think they're all fine. I've met a lot of them. I like a lot of them. But man, dude, Streamers to me feel like caged animals. They're like dogs. They hate their chat so much because they attract just terrible people who have nothing to do with their lives besides watch them for 12 hours a day. And I kind of get why they hate their chat, but they're also like addicted to streaming. They're addicted to the validation of seeing the chat wheel go by. They're addicted.
He shares a tweet from Hassan from 2024 saying, I think streaming 8 hours of politics every day for the last 6 years straight may have fried a part of my brain. Yeah, no duh, bro. And that's the point. The point I'm trying to say is like, we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard, myself included. I've been calling people stupid and I'm like, maybe that's the wrong word. And my friends have been like, Britt, that's not the word. And I'm like, what is the word? So we've done uneducated, unintelligent. Like we've done all these words to figure out what to call people. I think I'm just going to say, you're wrong. Okay? I just think the safest way is to say, you're wrong. And we're going to leave it at that because we don't want to have to engage with ableism to call people out. And that's what Hassan did. Okay, no, we can't use ignorant. Ignorant's out. It's too racist. Okay, ignorant is deeply racist. We can't use it. Okay, it has to be like, you know, and again, this is just for me at work. Like I, as a person in a position of power, not you with your friends, not you in your privacy of your homes, me at work, Hassan at work, streamer at work. I am not talking about regular ass people. You do you, girl. I'm talking about people who are showing up, people who are leading conversations, and not just in politics. Because I do philosophy, we have to have the conversation about showing up better. So again, like I'm not talking about you. Okay, I am in no way talking about you. Chet said ignorant is racist. Yes, ignorant is used towards, it has been used towards Black people, enslaved people, to demean them as like unable. So like, I don't want to use white supremacy dog whistles to talk about anyone, especially if I end up talking about a person of color and I say like, oh, you're ignorant. Like there's just too much racist undertones in that, right? Mabel with another super chat says these guys are like kids at the playground who whisper in your ear. He said your mom is fat just to rally you up and watch you fight each other. 100% girl. 100%. Like absolutely. That's what they want. You know, that is what they want. The fans especially. That's why I say like be careful of the audience you build, because if you build an audience that doesn't have your best interest in mind, they will make you a lol cow, right? You also said creators think they are George Lucas. Hey, you know? So okay, now what I want to show you, and this is what's important here, is that Hassan, by calling him like, oh, I think he has an intellectual disability, he knows that's not fucking true. He knows J-Reg's work. He knows that's not fucking true. So why would he say it? Because he thinks it's hurtful. Because he thinks he's getting a leg up. Because he doesn't care about the ableism, right? Like, again, when we have these conversations, we have to understand like these men tell themselves a story about how they are the heroes showing up to save everybody. Why do I tell you to deconstruct the myth of the hero? Because it's a patriarchal concept, so mid-men can feel good about themselves, okay? Mediocre men feel good about themselves by showing up and saying, look at me, I'm saving you. I'm such a hero, okay? All of these men give BoJack in different ways. Pause. Let me just, okay, if you've heard the song going viral on TikTok, sit down, relax if you haven't. It's a vibe. And if you've seen BoJack, this is going to hit even harder, girl. If you've seen BoJack, this is about to hit, okay? Sit back, relax. Oof, that ending scene, God forbid she shows emotion and showing his mom as a little girl holding her lobotomized or being with her lobotomized mother, who was lobotomized for being hysterical, that her brother was killed in the war. Yeah. Good times, huh? Okay, so what I am trying to say with all of this is as much as these men want to show up and tell themselves they are the hero, they're upholding patriarchy, using slurs to do it, and calling themselves your heroes. And I understand slurs are a part of culture. Slurs come from culture. Slurs are reclaimed. It's not about eradicating slurs. It's about knowing when to use them. And in no way does it make sense for a man who's in a position of power, who's supposed to be a leader, to show up on the internet and call a woman a bitch. So I'm not talking to minority communities that are reclaiming slurs. I'm not talking about what you and your friends talk about when you're making jokes with each other. I am talking about people who want attention, who are trying to talk about the most serious things happening in the world, showing up and having the audacity with their full chest to call a woman a bitch. No. You might as well start calling every minority a slur, because it's interesting that you feel so confident to call a woman a bitch. I would love to see you call a different minority a different slur, but you would never dare. And that's where the patriarchy and misogyny comes in, because only a misogynist would feel so fucking emboldened. And this state of the world, calling yourself a progressive and calling a woman a bitch. You would never dare do that to another minority, except I guess in Kyle Kulinski's case, he does like to call people the R word. So I guess two communities are getting hit. Okay? But you would never do that. And that's the point. It is, even on this stream, the fact that we banned the R word before the B word, myself, I need to deconstruct my internalized misogyny, my toxic masculinity, being raised as a boy in the world. Okay? So that's why I say, get ready, girls. Bitch is about to be, it's about to be banned from this stream. Especially since I can't trust anyone here on the internet, men, to use that word appropriately. Okay? And I understand in safe spaces, it's a safe space. But the internet, this stream is too public for it to be a safe space. Okay? It's different if we're in closed communities, okay, with our friends who are vetted, or our community that's vetted. But here on this stream, where anybody and their mother can show up and be here, we have to signal the right things to a lot of people. Okay? So again, I'm not coming for you in your homes. I'm not telling you what to say with your friends. I'm telling you as people, okay, who have a position in society. And Hassan has got to stop. He's got to stop saying, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy. You're not just a guy. And if you were just a guy, you'd take a day off. If you were just a guy, you wouldn't be so obsessed. If you were just a guy, you'd actually hang out with your family and friends and take a vacation. You're not just a guy, are you? You're not just a guy. No regular dude gets to sit down with Bernie and AOC. No regular guy, okay, is in these spaces. Stop calling yourself. Take responsibility for the position of power that you are upholding. And stop trying to, have it, your cake and eat it too. You can't. You're going to have your cake and eat it too, girl. Make a decision, okay? Charlie Kirk was not just a podcaster. Turning Point is in your children's schools. Hassan is not just a dude. He's the loudest and best microphone that the left has right now, and that's how sad the state of the world is. Okay? Okay. That's my opening monologue this morning. What are your thoughts? Tell me. Thoughts? Chet says, no man is using the B word the same way me and my queer friends do. Well, that's the thing, is I really believe in the deconstructed male perspective. So I do think men, trans or cis or whoever, man, can deconstruct in order to use the word in a safe space. The dilemma is that I have to trust that you understand that you're not using it with any sort of venom or realness, or because words are constructs. So I'm okay deconstructing a word. I'm not saying words should be banned. I'm saying words should be considered. Words are actions. You need to be considerate of your action, and words are actions. So before you make an action, you better be thinking about, the situation and the context. And I'm not saying this as somebody who hasn't been there before. I'm saying I've been there. It wasn't working, girl. We got to change it. Okay, we got to do something different. This isn't good enough. This standard isn't good enough. And we have to be very careful. You know what I mean? And so again, I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for consideration. I'm asking you to pause and consider what this means when you say these things in this context, and how is it justified within your moral framework. Okay? So again, I am not telling you what to say. I'm telling you to think about what you're saying. Just like you and other people have told me throughout my life, hey, Britt, think about what you're saying. Hey, great point. I should be thinking about what I'm saying. Okay? Chet says, I think you're a trailblazer. I don't know if you're talking about me, but I hardly think I'm a trailblazer. But I will say that I might be the only person in this space that is having this conversation in this way that talks about boys as much as anybody else. I don't know. A lot of the girls in this space, no judgment. A lot of the women in this space, a little gay judgment, but not real judgment, align themselves with the boys. And I don't blame them because they're in a boy space. But I even think Francesca using the word bitchuation room for her podcast or her show was wrong. It is wrong to use a slur as the name of your show, which will invite people to use that word as if it's normal. Same with T.S. Madison using F-talk, the gay slur, F-talk. I understand when we're with each other and in our communities and it's safe, but you are making a public show that is inviting listeners to then reference the name of the show and say the word as a part of the reference to the show. And so again, I don't want to give them a chance to justify using the word because what? It's just, it means female dog. What? I'm just calling her a female dog. I'm just saying, it's just a word. Yeah, it is just a word until it's not just a word. Just like any word is. Anything is just a word. My heart goes out to you used to be just a way to say nice things. Now, it might be a Nazi dog whistle. Words are constructs, and constructs change. Okay? So, that's the point. Okay? Now, again, I don't want to sit here and, take all the credit for all of this, whatever. It's more like I'm sharing the thoughts I've learned from other people as well. I mean, any of the philosophers you can reference, bell hooks or anyone else who's talking about abuse and love, relationships and structures. We can talk about so many amazing minds who have come together before me. The art I even showed you to start off this video. These are ideas that have been put into the world. Me reading Tao Te Ching before we started. We know for a fact that we are in cycles we repeat cycles. History doesn't repeat itself, humans repeat history. So this isn't about Brittany. It's about us, having every generation of going wait a second, we have to do something else. Wait a second, we should do something else. And look, I'm going to talk about it because people in my comment section were like, Brittany doesn't know what she's talking about. There's a white woman in blackface on the internet right now. We're going to talk about her. And we're going to talk about redemption, not for the lady in blackface, for us as a community. Because once again, if we allow the most disgusting parts of society turn us into disgusting people, then what chances do we even have at redemption? Okay, we're going to talk about Uncle Iroh, we're going to talk about redemption, and we're going to talk about how deconstruction is a skill. You have to practice this skill, okay? Are you Zuko season 1 or Zuko book 4? Okay, book 1 Zuko, book 4 Zuko. Because some of y'all are, Zuko book 2 and you feel like it's good enough. It's not, girl. Book 4. Okay? I just feel like we cannot sit here and tell us the world is ableist, the world is transphobic, the world is racist, and then sit here and be like, but not me. I'm not the one. Cutie Cinderella, I'm not racist. Everybody else is racist. These men are probably like, I'm not misogynistic. These men are misogynistic. But if you were raised in misogyny, if you're raised in white supremacy, and you have not deconstructed, then how do you know? How can you know? You need to give me 5 examples of you doing a racist. I'm not saying you are racist, but you've probably done a racist in your life. You've probably done a misogynist. You've probably done a transphobe. You've probably done a lot of things. Just own it so we can move on. Because you will do it. And you will continue to do it just like I will. Which is why we have to be like, oh, how hard is it to be a good person? Very hard. How hard is it to die a good person? Incredibly hard. Yes, thank you, chat. Why am I so bad at being good? The best quote out of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Why am I so bad at being good? Because it is really, 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 really fucking hard. That's why that scene in Avatar: The Last Airbender where they forgive Zuko and then he betrays them one last time hits so realistic. Realistically, it takes a lot of work to embody change. And so for Zuko to think he's changed and then betray them at the last minute, and then finally towards the end of the series really embody that deep change, ooh, you know, that's the realistic part of a human journey. Humans don't change the first time. It usually takes a few times of trying, you know? Chet says, is being derogatory always wrong no matter what? Again, how are you showing up? Again, what is the context? Again, my content, my statement here is for people who are public figures. I am talking to coworkers, peers, people in this space. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking about this idea that these are people who are in positions of power and leadership, who are, you know, got 70,000 people watching them. Okay, 10,000 people, 20,000 people, 50,000 people watching them, right? The context has to change. Okay? And again, we're not trying to be conservative. My mother would always say, oh, Betty, don't say bitch. It's so disgusting towards women. But then she would go vote for Trump, who's a rapist. Don't talk to me about being disgusting towards women. See how you don't get to take the moral high ground? You cannot vote for Trump and then talk about women. Oh, saying bitch is so hurtful. Okay, well, voting for a rapist is a little bit worse, I think, in this situation. So again, we want to be centered with our joy, and we want that to show up in our work. We want our work to be a reflection of our joy. We want the world to be a reflection of our joy. The world is a reflection of us as a whole. None of us are exempt from the responsibility of how we show up. Now, if you want to take what I'm saying and attach it to your personal life, maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're a scout leader, maybe you're a person in a position of power, maybe you're a parent or an auntie or an uncle, a neighbor, an elder, you can take this and you know, utilize it in that sense. I think this also applies to sort of our daily life in that sense. But I think, again, it's about like, how do we want to show up? If my teenage niece or nephew comes to me and goes, oh, Auntie Brittany, my dad never let me cuss. Can I cuss in your house? I'd be like, sure, but watch your language. Well, what do you mean, Auntie Brittany? You can cuss, but watch your language. Make it make sense, right? So if my nephew or niece or whatever, whoever is comes to me and goes like, she's such a stupid bitch, I'd be like, ooh, what do we mean by that? What do we mean by that? You know what I mean? What do you mean by that? Or if they're like, oh, fuck, this salad is really spicy, I'd be like, okay, fuck spicy salad, it's fine. But what do you mean she's a dumb bitch? Can we deconstruct what this means for you? Because it didn't just come out of anywhere. You used it for a reason. Oh, it felt good. I really liked saying it. Why did you like saying it? I don't know. It just made me feel really powerful. Where do you think that comes from? Let's talk about it. We're not thinking. Same for the people who are like, oh, I don't say those words. Oh, I never say those words. Why not? Why don't you say those words? What are you afraid of? You know, what about those words are you avoiding? Why are you avoiding those words? I remember one time when we were really young, we were waiting for a movie premiere, probably for Pokemon or something. And my little sister at the time, she could read and she was young and somebody had written fuck on a leaf, on a plant, literally. And she reads it. She goes, F-U-C-K, fuck. And I was like, oh, and I looked at her and my brother was like, hey. And I was like, where'd you learn that word? She goes, it's on this plant. And I was like, holy fuck. I was like, yeah, you can't say that. Why not? It's just not a good word. It's like, yeah, that's not really explaining to her the social context and situations she might find herself in which people do not just casually say fuck, especially when they're young. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I remember all of us being like, whoa, you know, it's like a big deal. But we have to be, you know, thoughtful, and we have to tell people why we're being thoughtful. Okay, I'm sick of seeing teenagers especially run around attacking elders, cursing at elders, calling them slurs, you know, feeling indignant, boys, you know, yelling at women, calling them a bitch. Hello? Where do you think they're hearing it from? Your streamer language is infiltrating young people's brains, and they are enacting that language. They're using that language against elders in their communities, teachers and counselors and, you know, parents. You have to decide, especially as a streamer, okay, are you just a guy? Or are you a person who has 100,000 people watching you right now? Because that is no joke. And you know what's so frustrating is how many times in my life I have been lectured over the amount of power I have as a content creator when I have less than 200 people watching me right now. These men have literally 70,000 people. Hassan said 70,000 people were watching him. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry. What's happening here? What standard are we holding ourselves to? And again, I think under patriarchy, I fall for it myself. We tend to hold women more accountable because we expect better from them. And that is not something we can be doing. Talk about weaponized incompetence. I'm just a guy, bitch. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay, let's move on.